Kenya's President William Ruto has expressed willingness to purchase fuel from countries such as Russia. And this comes at a time when a number of nations, notably the United States, are avoiding engagement with Russia, of course, as a result of its conflict with Ukraine. Now, in an interview with the BBC, President Ruto hinted that he will be exploring all possibilities in an effort to rein in the rising fuel prices in the country that, of course, have put pressure on Kenyans since a fuel subsidy was discontinued. The president says that in order to create a seamless financial framework and better the lives of East Africans, Kenya will cooperate closely with other nations in the region. Well, let's find out more about that with Ngala Chome, a senior analyst at Sahan Research. He joins us now. Great to have you on the show with us, Mr. Chome. Now, of course, this news is somewhat surprising. I don't know what you think, because it comes at a time when a number of nations are, of course, avoiding Russia. Also, the U.S. is threatening to impose sanctions on buyers of Russian oil. So what are your thoughts on that move? Could this put pressure on Kenya's relations with the Western world and the United States?
Well, thank you very much. I mean, that is if it happens. I re-listened to the interview that the current president of Kenya, William Ruto, did with the BBC, I think, and I think that when the question was posed to him, he mentioned that if it comes to that, Kenya would be open to any option, including buying oil from Russia. But I think the point here was for him to emphasize how important this issue of rising fuel prices has been for Kenyans, and also has been very central to his own campaign promises that he would fix the fuel prices crisis. And I think that for him, this is how we should. I think for us, this is how we should look at it. We should look at this as a very important policy issue for his government, that he will actually go to extra lengths to make sure that he fixes it. But I don't think he actually really meant that Kenya has any program or any plan to actually buy oil from Russia, given the current sanctions that has been snapped against Russia.
Well, you have to say it is interesting that he put it out there. And do you think, because some do think that this could signal a significant shift in Kenya's foreign policy going forward with this new administration, of course, in office? What are your thoughts?
I mean, two things there. So one is that Kenya's economic policy since the 1960s has always been designed to advance the country's economic interests. So, for example, Kenya was a very strong member of the non-aligned movement during the Cold War period, but also even after that, Kenya's foreign policy has always seemed to sort of serve its sort of economic interest, to open trade opportunities and things of this nature. But also, again, also not to forget that actually, Kenya's ambassador to the UN much more recently also stated that for African countries and not just Kenya, it is high time that they stop being lectured actually on what to do on each side to pick, given such global conflicts. I would read it in that way, but also again I would still insist that I think coming off of an interview such as that, I don't think the current president has an actual policy or plan in place to buy oil from Russia. But I think the message here is that the country or his government is willing to do anything that would put Kenya's economic interest first. Yeah.
Well, if, and I say if, because you seem to think he's just posturing, if Kenya was to go ahead with a deal to buy Russian oil, how will that really benefit Kenya? How would that help to reduce the price of fuel and also help with the subsidy?
Well, I have to say that practically it won't be very easy, given the fact that Russia has been removed from the international SWIFT system. So it actually won't be very easy to trade with Russia. But also, secondly, with the sanctions that were placed on Russia earlier in the year, not only did it affect trade in oil, but also many other goods that Kenya has traditionally traded with Russia, including wheat, fertilizer, and steel. But also including goods that Kenya has traditionally traded with Ukraine as well. It meant that Kenya had to seek for these goods from much more expensive places, which then caused inflation of about 48 months high. So the immediate effect would be, especially given the fact that the new government has removed the fuel subsidy, the immediate effect would be to lower the fuel prices of Kenya. Now, what will that mean in terms of the reaction of Western countries towards Kenya is a different story altogether. But economically, it will actually cause an immediate fall of the fuel prices, which the current government is working towards lowering, especially by working with sort of market forces and negotiating with market players rather than issuing subsidies that the current president has claimed have been very expensive and have actually not achieved the purposes that at which they were designed.
All right. Well, we do have to leave it there, Mr. Chome, but thank you so much for those great insights. Thank you for joining us on Global Business Africa. That, of course, is Ngala Chome. He's a senior analyst at Asahan Research.